you bagged a gong, didn't you, in Cannes for Garage?
I did, yeah. Got Best Actor Monte Carlo as well.
Super film.
For it and,
not a feel-good one now, to be honest. It's not something to watch on a Friday night.
No,
but
it is in another way. There is a good feeling, good vibe to it. It can be quite depressing.
If you're from rural Ireland, you'll recognise a lot of characters in it, I can tell you.
Yeah, it is, and it's quite bleak, but it is.
Rural Ireland has moved on from that, though.
It has, I think.
In ways.
In ways it has.
In what ways hasn't it?
Well, I mean, you've all sorts of characters in rural Ireland. No more than you'd have characters in Dublin. You know, look at you with the face you're making at me.
I actually thought the movie was really, really good, and the acting was very subtle.
Yeah.
Really enjoyable, and I wasn't surprised after watching the movie that it's getting such great critical acclaim and picking up so many awards.
Yeah, no, it's great. And funny enough, talking about the Dublin country kind of divide or whatever, the interior of the bar scenes we shot in Dublin pub.
Really?
Which
pub?
Pub?
And we didn't change. It's closed since, I think, but it was closed when we shot there, and that's why they used it, because it was no longer an existing bar. But it was down in Kilmainham somewhere around there. So just, the interior, and I don't think they changed the interior of it.
Did you ever move to Dublin? Pat,
me personally, no, I wouldn't. I love Dublin. I love coming up to Dublin.
Yeah, you're only saying that.
I do love Dublin. I spend a lot of time in Dublin throughout the year. But I don't like cities in general.
Right.
No matter where they are, it's just the hustle and bustle, and I like space in the countryside.
Well, it's not exactly Manhattan now, is it?
I'll tell you, it's not far off at the times. I think
Dublin's become very cosmopolitan
very
in the last 10 years.
Very busy as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
what about Cork?
Cork, I like.
Sure, they wouldn't let you down there at all. They would stand there.
The boys in the crowd in Castlemartyr love me in Cork. No, we have a bar down in Cork, so I go down there quite a lot.
Oh, right, okay.
Do you get a bit of a ribbon for the manner in which you portray Irish people at times, the buffoonery that goes on, the nonsense and the foolishness?
Well, no, not really. I mean, I'm doing comedy. It's enlarging it. I'm not trying to be realistic.
Yeah, it's almost like caricatures you're doing.
It is caricature, and it's cartooning almost as well. So it's there is a vein of reality in it. I mean, I've often said to people that in Killinascully, every story that we've done in Killinascully is based on a true story, based on something that's actually happened. Yeah, all the way down the line, whether it be the politician stories or stories about Grady and the B&B and so on and so forth. They're all a lot of them are loosely based on real incidents.
I loved the opening of the radio station when the priest blew up the desk when he threw the holy water on it.
But I don't know, did any of you ever work in pirate radio?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can see that's not a million miles away. No. I've done interviews.
They were the strangest times I had, I can tell you.
The maddest times. I mean, I talked to a lot of people recently about the pirate radio days down in Limerick and Big L and all these stations, and the stuff they used to come out with, and the mad stuff they create and everything. It was great. It was very creative and mental. So, what we do is take something like that and you enlarge it, and you take artistic license on it to make it funny, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it really the end of Killinascully?
It is indeed.
Really?
We're working on a new series at the moment, myself and Mike Finn, the other writer, which is it's a cop-based detective moves to the city from the country style of thing, and it's great. It's good fun. It's in the development stage at the moment. We're still writing away like mad, so we're not fully finished. And I've got.
Why did you finish? Because it was getting extraordinary figures in terms
Christmas
of the ratings and share figures. What are you doing? Faulty Towers on it? Kill it now while it's on top?
Oh yeah, to a degree, yeah. I mean, I love the programme. I think it's fantastic. I'm very proud of it, and I don't want it to dissolve out. I prefer to have it up there in a high, you know what I mean, and have it go out like that. So and have good memories of it, as opposed to sometimes TV programs can be allowed go on too long, and they're better when they're cut short, I think.
Don't say something smart here now.
But would you even harbour the thought of going back and doing a revisit for a Christmas special?
Yeah, we certainly would. I think I don't know if we're going to go at it this year, but we would. There's talk about it, and there's also talk about the Killinascully, the movie, maybe possibility of that. That's been thrown about for a long time. So there's lots of ideas there. We have to kind of sit down. We're so busy working on this one at the moment, and it's going to be quite a busy year for me. So I'm in negotiation with BBC at the moment to do something over there early in the summer and shoot the cop show later in the summer. So it's all juggling, trying to get it all.
With the BBC, would that be a sitcom?
It's a sitcom, yeah. Sitcom based over there.
And would you be writing that, or would you be involved in the writing of that?
I'd be like all sitcoms and any projects like that, you would be involved with the writers and the director, kind of just putting your slant on it and helping it. But no, it'll be written by a...
Pat, can I take you back to your time with John? And I remember interviewing the Perriers on a radio station down in Ennis many, many years ago. John subsequently had ill health. You had to bring in a few bob. You had to work. You had to go out there. Was it a daunting experience for you because you were the sum of both parts are greater than the individual sum of each? You were on your own. How difficult was it?
Yeah, it was a very, very difficult time, Alan, because on various different levels. But from a performance level, I had always worked as a double act, and I had started working with John when I was started in the business when I was 18. So I had never ever been outside of that as a solo performer. I'd done some films and I'd done some TV stuff independently, but never worked on stage. So and I love doing stage, and it's funny enough, having been off the road for 2 years, there was a real itch to get back out and do something, but the nervousness. And then you hear all these stories about double acts when they split up in the UK, because we don't have a tradition of it here. There's not, there's not that many. At the time, I think myself and John were the only double act. That it never succeeds, and that people won't go for an individual, and all these kind of stories. So you kind of go with all that, and then you just get out and put together a show and wrote some material.
Well, how long did it take you to establish your own identity?
It took about 2 years, I would safely say.
Do you have all that interaction stuff going on now?
Oh yeah,
where
because
people have to hide under the chairs in the audience.
Well, it's a style. It's a style of what I do. It's a style of what Unbelievables did.
Yeah.
So you bring it with you, and it's what you know, and it's what I love. I mean, somebody described me once as I don't like to consider myself a comedian, but what they said is, which I thought was probably the best description. I don't tell jokes. It's more I perform the jokes. And I am the jokes.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I went to see the show week before last, and anybody thinking that it's stand-up, it isn't stand-up. It's almost like comedy stroke drama.
Yes, yeah. Which is like what I do in the television. Television is an extension of the stage show. I mean, when Killascully came about first, I was approached by RT to do something. So I was trying to think of what to do, and the thing that came to my head was like create a fictitious village like I've done in the live show, and play the characters myself like I do in the live show. But obviously you'd have to bring other actors in because it's TV. And that's how Killascully came about, basically from the live show.
Pat, when you're out and about, are you haunted with people roaring and shouting at you? I'd say you can hardly go outside the door, can you?
I am. Yeah, funny enough, that's right. It's drifting away slightly into, it's more like, I Dan the man now, and that kind of stuff, and strain the spuds and all that kind of thing. But you do, and it's lovely. I mean, it's part of the business. I'm sure you guys have the same as well. People... Who'd want me, says Alan, who'd want to phone? But no, it's... people... There is a great warmth, and affection is the word that you'd use.
Do you ever feel like rearing up on someone saying, leave me alone, I'm with my wife and my kids?
Well, no, like you.
Only when someone's rude, and so some people can be rude, they don't know when to stop. And then
Pat, there is a time when they actually shouldn't. Like if you're sitting down and you're having dinner in a restaurant, that's not a time to go on.
Doesn't matter, it's what you buy into.
No, there is
true, though,
It is true. It is. I mean, you have to be realistic about it. People will, but there is times when people shouldn't come over and annoy you when you're with your family and stuff like that. I would agree with you on that, Martin. But I don't believe you buy into that. I don't believe you buy into that intrusion.
Where do you consider your strengths lie now, given that you've delved into nearly every facet of the business in terms of production companies, writing, directing, producing, acting? Where?
Directing, I haven't managed to go at yet, and I don't think I will for a long time.
But you have a in Killascully in terms of the direction that you want to go.
I would sit down with the director and talk about it, but I'd leave it up to the director to do the final work on it. I think for myself, comedy, I love doing stage work. I really, really love doing that, and I'll always end up doing comedy and stage work like that. And then acting, the serious acting is taking a lot more of a role. So,
and is that a road that you want to travel down now, the serious acting?
It depends on the project. It depends on what comes up. I'd look at, but I'd like to do more of it.
Is there the fear of the typecast scenario there that
No,
you're seen as?
To be honest with you, after doing Garage, the typecasting is gone. It's gone. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
When you think of guys like Robbie Coltrane, who started out as comedians, now he's not considered a comedian.
Well, outside of Ireland, I'm not a comedian at all. I'm a straight actor from Garage. People in France.
Pat, we were talking about patriotism here yesterday, and I know being from Munster, it means so much to you as it does to myself. Yes. Do you really hammer that home and instill that into your kids? Hurling, all that kind of thing that's kind of traditional around our area?
With me, it's traditional music. That's the big one with me, and I like to see the kids doing that. With the hurling, if they take it up, it'll be fine. Rugby, again, I think I'll be nervous as hell seeing the young fella going out on the rugby pitch. Personally, I would be. I'm not. I was never a big sports person, but more music, and I would definitely have the kids all hammering away at fiddles and flutes and harps and pianos and all that.
How are Tip going to do next year?
They'll fly it. And Babs, I was
we have it in the bag, don't we?
We have it in the bag. We have it in the sky in the ground. We have it everywhere.
Well, if Tip had gone up against Kilkenny last year, it would have been a great game.
Yeah.
They would have given them a run
yes,
for their money.
It would have been great.
We beat Cork and Cork, that's all that matters.
Cork.
All right.